The news of extraterrestrial contact was huge back on Earth. Waves of excitement, anxiety, and curiosity all delved into mild bickering as the United Nations continued to study and monitor these new alien life forms. After their discovery of faster-than-light travel, humanity then finally was found by the Galactic Union, a far-stretching organization that functioned much like the United Nations. Wanting to make a good impression, the UN then hereby passed legislation that designated all of Earth as one country on paper. Of course, things continued to function, as is but the next question after the invitation. Who was to represent them? After some discussion and voting, Secretary of State for Defense Joshua Higgins was hereby voted to be Earth's first ambassador. Hailing from the United Kingdom, his evident scars and tough demeanor from the 7th Afghan War were evident. Humanity wanted to make a strong yet peaceful impression, and what better way than a man from a military background who was evidently anti-war? Higgins observed himself in the mirror of the HMS Elizabeth II. As it traveled through the cosmos, the ambassador took a deep breath. He sported a graying beard, a neat brushed haircut, and a professional suit with a little secret flask settled in its pocket. The flag pin of the United Nations glimmered in the light as he held an alien-looking tablet. Provided to humanity was a sort of learning book of all the new species they were to encounter. The Glavians, the X-Luthers, the Herlax, each new species, different yet equally intelligent. And while he was equipped with his auto-translator, Higgins wanted to make a good first impression to the Galactic Union. Finally, the spaceship stopped in its designated docking yard. As air pressure returned to accommodate the newcomer, Higgins finally stepped off the ship. There wasn't so much a welcome delegation, but his tablet showed coordinates to the main Galactic Union's chambers. It seems they were waiting for him. With a huff, Higgins walked off, but as he did, he couldn't help but spot two aliens acting giddy as he passed. Higgins took a deep breath. He kept himself composed despite the first time he finally saw an alien life form. As he continued into the halls of the large complex, Higgins was guided onto a platform by the computer, and soon it started to raise. Higgins stood stern and still as the platform raised. And finally, as he reached the top, Higgins was met with aliens of all sorts, each sitting in their seats while he stood behind what seemed to be a podium. He took a deep breath as he stared back at the aliens, and was met with a wave of awes. Ah, look at it. It's so cute and small. It looks so fluffy. Higgins blinked, dumbfounded. Was his translator not working properly? He shook his head before he approached the podium. He tapped the mic-like device as it resonated. It's playing. Go on, little guy. Okay, maybe it is broken. Higgins pulled out his speech as he cleared his throat. Dear delegates of the Galactic Union, I stand before you at QAT. Higgins cleared his throat. I stand before you as the representative of my dear planet Earth. A small planet, a humble civilization. But we do not stand alone against each other, for humanity in its darkest eras stood together against a common threat suddenly. The man shuddered and squirmed as he felt some sort of wet tentacle start to pet the top of his head. He looked to the side to see some sort of octopus-like alien reaching their long tentacle to caress his hair. Higgins simply stepped aside a bit, ere together against a common threat. I introduce myself as Joshua Higgins of the United Nations of Earth, and much like our people we desire to, again the alien was petting him, so he tried to step aside. We desire to work harmoniously, with equal respect as we intended. With that, the United Nations of Earth extends our first heartfelt greetings. Quit it! Higgins at this point smacked his hand against the tentacle as it quickly retracted. He went wide-eyed as he looked to the delegation. Oh God, did he fuck up. Duh, look at the grumpy little boy. Joshua, what a strange but cute name. I want to pet it too. Hell. After that embarrassment of a speech, Higgins wanted nothing more than to hide away from the rest of the delegation. As everyone else was busy in the equivalent of a bar, Higgins decided he seriously needed a nap to get some energy again before he could meet the delegates after the debacle. But the aliens had other plans. Dr. Flet walked down the hallway with a container in his claws. With a snicker, he eyed the tablet. The human should be somewhere around here. And ho and behold, there the human was, resting in one of the empty lounges. Beside him was Dr. Xlotha, who spoke in a hush whisper. Come on, Dr. Flet. Let the poor human sleep. Oh, lighten up, Xlotha. This'll be funny, I promise. Flet said with a toothy chirp. What do you even have in there? Slotha asked. I have an earthling creature here called a fly. Humans seem to really like swatting and chasing after them. Admit it, that sounds cute, doesn't it? Flay said as he gazed towards the adorable human. We're doing this for research, Xlotha said, only to grip the doorways as she peeked over towards Higgins. So fluffy, I just want to pet it. Shush, Fleet said. After he inputted a code, the container opened as the strange, buzzing black creature flew out and erratically. The two doctors watched as the fly roamed around the room before it reached Higgins. As it landed on the human's cheek, Higgins's face crunched up as he moved his head to get the tickling feeling off. And when it landed again, he grumbled as his hand tried to get the fly off. Flay snickered as he started to record this with his tablet, as Xlotha tried to hold back her laugh. Finally, as the fly annoyed him enough, Higgins woke up with an angered voice as he quickly stood up. You bloody! Higgins grabbed a file he brought as he rolled it up and started to chase after the fly. Get back here, you little bastard! Oh, look at him! Come on, little guy, you can get it. Flay cheered through a mental signal to Xlotha as they kept quiet yet amused. Higgins's temper started to flare as he chased the fly around the room. If he wants something dead, he will make it dead. Finally, with a hard smack against the window showing the view of the stars, Higgins managed to swat it with the file. Finally! I got you, you little bastard. How did a fly get here anyway? He said in annoyance. And just as Higgins turned his head to the doorway, Fleet and Xlotha quickly ran off in a fit of clicks and giggles. Higgins expected belittlement, but not in this way. Ever since he got to the Galactic Union's headquarters, he was being treated as some sort of amusement. Pets, baby talk, even being played in his sleep. Higgins ignored the compliments and attempts to pet him as he reached the bar. And of course the bartender approached with the same attitude. Aye there, little guy. What can I get, the little cutie? You. Higgins scowled back in annoyance, which somehow only made the bartender get even more giddy with his apparent cuteness. Give me the toughest thing you got. Sure thing, here. The bartender then took a capsule of some sort of glowing blue liquid and handed it to Higgins. Safe for a little guy like you to enjoy. Drink up, cutie. Higgins sighed as he grabbed the capsule and opened it up. As he tasted it, it just tasted like juice. No hints of alcohol in it at all. Higgins drank it up, and yet he was feeling nothing at all. With a sigh, he reached into his coat and instead pulled out his flask as he started to quickly down his whiskey. Suddenly, alarms rang out through the bar. Panic seemed to spread through the delegates, and they were rapidly approaching Higgins. One delegate, a giant bug-like creature, quickly grabbed his flask. What the little human? This is ethanol. This is not for drinking. Spit it out. What on earth? Give it back, Higgins said. Us humans can drink this. Someone? We need to get him to the medic, stat, the bug said, ignoring Higgins's yelp and explanation as he carried the human in his 6 arms. Hurry! Put me down this instant, Higgins demanded as the bug was quickly accompanied by everyone else in the room, all to bring the human to the medic for drinking alcohol. Higgins has never been more glad to be back in London. After days of unsolicited petting, compliments, and baby talks, the United Nations was dumbfounded at his reports of what happened. Somehow humanity was designated as the cutest species in the galaxy, which felt insulting and somehow flattering. For Higgins, however, it was fully insulting, and as he entered his flat in Westminster, he sighed a deep breath of relief as he wandered into his living room. Higgins immediately took a drink of his replacement flask, missing alcohol more than he realized as he stared at the mirror. I can't believe they see THIS as adorable, the gruff man said, only to dump himself onto the armchair. Higgins sighed deeply, only to hear a soft meow. A gray, male British shorthair approached him as it gently blinked. With that, Higgins smiled. "Ah, hey there, Brutus." "Missed me?" Brutus meowed, only to walk off with his usual smug attitude. Higgins chuckled as he watched Brutus distract himself with his toy. And as he did, he choked on his whiskey as he reached a realization. Humans were space cats.